It's great to have Vasu here. He's a VP with AngloGold Ashanti, responsible for rolling out a global tenement management program within AngloGold Ashanti. So back to mining, and great to have one of the big gold miners here to give us their story. Vasu, thank you very much.
Thank you, Bill. You guys can just testing the mic. Yep, quite clear. Okay, guys. So just in terms of context, so I've gave this presentation to my executive sometime last year, and I've just realized now that the audience is slightly different. Obviously, the presentation last year was more a motivational presentation to motivate the reason why we need tenement management in a large multinational organization. Now I'm speaking to the converted, hopefully. All you guys do realize the importance of a tenement management system. So I will focus more in terms of the future state, in terms of the system that I'm thinking about to bring together people, process, and risks. And you guys are the technical specialists. So the focus, the technical parts will be the system development, and that's my interaction with the Landfolio team. Okay, and it's a pleasure for me to present to you guys. Thank you, Bill, for inviting me to the conference. Okay, so objective, the current state, the future state, and as I said, I'll spend a little bit of time talking about the future state, and I'll conclude with the framework elements in terms of outlining the spectrum and the concepts that I see as part of a holistic tenement management system. Okay, so in terms of the current state, sometime last year, or probably throughout the most of last year, I went through all our jurisdictions within the company. I've looked at how we were implementing the tenement management components within AngloGold. And obviously, to my horror, I found out that there wasn't a holistic system in any of our operations. Look, it doesn't mean that tenement management wasn't being employed. It was being done, and it was being done properly, but by the individual disciplines. Like legal did a fantastic job, but the cross-functionality, the talking on the ground between the geos, between the environmental guys, was there in principle, but there was no system to bring together all of this communication, especially between environmental and geology. The legal guys had their own system. Greenfields was probably largely using the tenement management system of Landfolio in Africa. Same with brownfields as well. And they probably were the only teams that were using a proper system. The other sort of departments had their own systems, and they were feeding verbal communication to a tenement manager. So the maturity levels varied. Spatial data were in separate systems. We always had a year-end rush in terms of governance documents, and to this very day, I'm still signing off on the legal documents and how it feeds into our mineral resource statement. And Alex has spoken about the mining industry, the applications of tenement management upfront in terms of feasibility studies. So I'm actually lucky that in my role, I can employ tenement management within the broader exploration sort of startup as well. And therefore, so I was keen to take over this role. I'm actually a geologist by trade, so I'm using my past sort of experience within the exploration geology stream to bring in the importance of tenement management upfront in the value stream, which Alex has spoken about. Okay, so this picture is not meant to be complicated, but I just tried to convince management that, look, it starts off on the operations. We need data integrity on each of our operations, and that's why I've put in the mine lease polygons as a process of capturing on each of the operations. Your data integrity got to be done at that point, and your accountable people got to rest on the operations. We cannot manage this from a corporate center. But I'm heavily involved in creating this system which will bring together the processes from the individual operations all the way up into a governance reporting system, which will then feed into our executive, and I report directly to our Chief Development Officer, and he's got full accountability for all governance aspects of tenement management. So as a company, we do see the importance of this stuff, and obviously from a risk perspective, it has huge implications if it goes out, especially in terms of the name of a company and a whole lot of stuff that goes all the way to the board. Okay. So in terms of way forward, I've just put up and yet again, I was involved with Ramiz last year, Glenn. We put together some slides in terms of how we're going to go about putting together the system. And I'm talking about an operational system. We do have all the elements of the system in each of our operations. For example, SAP is up and running in the company. We've got SharePoint. We've got Trimble, not in all the jurisdictions, but we've got it in Africa at least. So Esri, we're working with Esri. The partnership has been created between Landfolio and Esri, and we've got contracts already in place with both the companies. So the point I was trying to make here is that we have the individual components already in place, and it's not going to take long to build up this partnership with Landfolio and create a operational system for each of our jurisdictions. And moving into the operational system then, I'm calling it country framework elements because I was chatting with Mike the other day, and I was totally surprised with the complexities involved in the US, for example. And each country has got different complexities. The US has got large volume, so it's not necessarily complex from a legal perspective, but it's complex in terms of you've got all of these tiny polygons. And thanks, Mike, for enlightening me as to why these polygons were sort of small, discrete, tiny things that was lying all over the shore. And it's a nightmare for the tenement manager on site to manage thousands of these polygons from a payment perspective. And he's doing it manually at the moment, running from Excel spreadsheets. Okay, so my sort of view of tenement management, and I'm sure it is the Landfolio view as well. Caroline has spoken about land manager and how they're incorporating that. We've seen environmental being incorporated. I'm just splitting exploration into greenfields, brownfields, the legal part, purely because I just want to allocate accountabilities on the operations to these disciplines. And that's the only reason why I've split up these disciplines. And I'm saying that we need the people from each of these disciplines to be involved upfront in the system development so they understand where their inputs come into the system and what they need to put into the system. The system itself is not complicated, and we've seen that already. The guys have presented it quite nicely. Okay, so this was more for my executive as well, the conceptual system, license, lease, permits, land parcels, agreements, contracts, conditions, all of this stuff. Landfolio has mastered it. You guys have got the technology. It's all in place, and I've seen it. And I'm pretty convinced that we can employ this in any of our jurisdictions. Yet again, the reporting, customized report, and this is something that I will probably work closely with the team as well of the operating units because I will need a collated governance type reporting system. So there will be some complications in terms of getting the individual jurisdictions rolled up into some form of data warehouse structure, and I'll just overlay a reporting system and we've got BI technology already in the company. I'll overlay that onto a sort of corporate type data warehouse structure. And in that way, I will get a proper governance reporting system. Okay, then in terms of the implementation methodology, this is thanks to the Landfolio guys. Again, Glenn has given me this breakdown here. And recently, we've started this process with Tanzania. Jill, my colleague, Jill Harris, is a project manager from AngloGold side. Caroline and Antonio is working on the development side. And we've just finished the project scoping for Tanzania. And this is where I stressed upfront to the team is I've invited basically the head of environmental, the head of legal, the head of finance, both from the corporate and the operational teams, just to get them involved upfront in the scoping exercise. And they're now fully aware of what the system can deliver, and everyone's on board. We're just about finalizing the project scoping, and we should now kick off with the design phase and go all the way to implementation. After that, I'm looking at pretty much using the Tanzania as an example, the implementation of it, and showcasing that to the rest of the other jurisdictions that don't have a system in place. We do have systems in Australia. The guys are using Land Tracker there, and I'm not necessarily going to change that operational system, but we can attach a reporting system using the expertise from Landfolio and to latch onto the database of Land Tracker in Australia. So there's many ways, and I'm not going to force a jurisdiction to change over to Landfolio, but if they don't have a system, I'm obviously going to motivate and try to persuade the guys to use a system that's off the shelf. It's currently in place. We've got the expertise here, and I've seen it for myself. Thank you for the team. I was in the offices the last couple of days. The guys entertained all my questions, and thank you very much to the Landfolio team. And that's about it, guys. Thank you.
Any questions for Vasu? Yes, thank you, sir.
I can see this project is actually initiated from exploration.
Sorry, I didn't hear you.
Initiative is driven by exploration.
Yes, exactly. And it's solely because it was in the interest of the exploration guys, because we are the starting point in the value chain. And the exploration guys felt to take it upon their shoulders. But I'm a geologist, and I said we are pushing it from the exploration side. Yeah.
How many jurisdictions are you planning to cover?
Okay, so we've got North America, South America, Australia, and Africa. So those are the four major areas. Yeah. But obviously, we've got 3 or 4 countries in South America. North America, we just acquired ground now, so we're building up in North America. So it's going to get bigger. It's definitely, the individual countries within those 4 continents will get bigger. Yeah.
Anyone else? Thank you very much, Vasu. Much appreciated. Okay.